doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, and welcome to a Thursday edition of the YSN Power Hour. DJ Oakley right here with you. I'll be here with you for the next 60 minutes or so. And joining me today about 3:30 is the one, the only Mr. Danny Bertolini, the head baseball coach, manager, skipper, whatever you want to call it, of the Youngstown State University Fighting Penguins. He will join us today. We're going to talk about the year that was, the season that could be in 2023. But before all that, we'll talk about this great baseball outing he has, this golf outing coming up on Monday. We will be there, proud to be part of that at the Lake Club. It's a great fundraiser for the baseball team. And you know, this year they have Darryl Strawberry. Last year was Kenny Lofton. And, you know, we're going to talk about kind of the history of this golf outing and some of the names that he's brought in that I can't even remember. But how they bring these guys in, these great baseball players of yesteryear. And obviously there's a lot of support for the YSU baseball team, which is what we want to see. We want to see all of our teams being supported very, very well. And the golf outing does exactly that. So we'll probably, I would imagine we're going to have to be live from the golf outing on Monday. Just crazy thought, because we'll be out there all day. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll have Danny Bertolini on to talk a little stickball, and we'll talk a little bit of the golf outing as well. That's all coming up about 3:30 on the YSN Power Hour. But before we get to any of that or some of the topics today, we are going to get to On This Day in Sports History. Here we go. All right, so on this day in sports history, kind of an interesting one. It was August 11th, and on this date in sports history, 1992, Oakland A's rip Jose Canseco for leaving the stadium, not just the field, the stadium, before the end of the game. Like, dude was gone by the time the A's got to the locker room. And at least in the research that I did, they came out and they absolutely hammered Canseco for not being a team guy, not being a guy that kind of doesn't stick around for the remainder of a game. Jose Canseco was an absolute loose cannon. An absolute loose cannon. I was reading before the show, trying to tie into some content here. Canseco, over the course of his career, was able to garner $45 million in contracts. $45 million to play professional baseball for the life of Jose Canseco. And right now, he's at an estimated net worth of $800,000. So that means that he is essentially blown $44.2 million of that contract. And that's why it's so interesting to me that when we talk about players, athletes, student athletes, whatever it may be, nowadays, I'm in the bandwagon of, I think student athletes are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Now, some of them think they're a little bit too smart. investing in, especially right now, like those contracts that people invested in cryptocurrency. Oh boy, I bet there's a tussle going on at home between their agent, themselves, their families, and things of that nature for the crypto stuff. And I'm not I have some. I'm not like, that's the stuff you just throw some money in and let it go, right? You just watch it go. Nothing that is detrimental. This is not. I'm not a wealth management specialist by any means. It was something that it was fun for me and my buddy to do whenever it was 2016. We tossed it in and we've been watching it ever since. And it's this, right? It's this. But like, there's no excuse for Jose Canseco. And he'll blame a failed marriage and he'll blame taxes. He says taxes took 40% of it, which is typically about right. But so you take that, essentially, what, 45 divided by 2 is 22 and a half. So he's sitting at $27-28 million still, and now he's only worth $800,000. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. But nowadays, these student athletes are taking business classes. They're investing not only in different forms of currency, they're investing themselves, meeting with wealth management people, like business people that understand how to diversify their portfolio, and now, especially with the NIL, these kids are taking that money and reinvesting it. So that $1 million contract that they get for that 4 years or 1 year per year, whatever it may be, now starts working for them, and that's important because people forget athletes have such a short lifespan in their careers. Like, their careers are anywhere from 1 year to, I don't even know the research, but I'm going to go 10 years, right? The anomalies, the outliers, Tom Brady's, Ben Roethlisberger's, guys like that, the franchise, that's why they get paid so much coin, is because they are essentially aliens. They are people who don't come along every day. And you pay for that type of talent. You pay for, Patrick Mahomes. You pay for Steph Curry. You pay for LeBron James, Michael Jordan, like all the way. Think about that. The problem is the evaluation of talent, and this is kind of leading into what we're going to talk about up until 3:30. The evaluation of talent has gotten so much like the stock market, where you don't know, because a kid's got an exit velocity off the bat of 100 miles an hour one time, and it's on his mixtape, it's on his recruitment tape. Does not mean that every time that kid swings the bat, the exit velo is going to be 100 miles an hour. The potential's there naturally. But I remember when the Cleveland Guardians got Franmil Reyes, and he was supposed to be the next Albert Bell. He was supposed to be the next big hitter because there's so much raw talent. There's so much ceiling there that this guy is going to change the way the Guardians' offense is for the rest of time. And they just DFA'd him. People will throw money at things and people and places that there's potential. But it's much like, if you think about it, it's much like going from high school to college. And naturally, there's like a 3% chance that that person, place, or thing is going to realize that potential. Just because you're a great basketball player in high school does not mean that you're going to be a great basketball player in college. There's a lot of variables that go into that. Same in football, same in basketball, same in volleyball, same in any sport or anything for that matter that you do. There are so many variables. There's so many different distractions at college that you don't have in high school. There's so many different distractions, so many different things to spend your time doing. You're allowed to party. You're allowed to, when you turn 21, drink. You're allowed to smoke. You're allowed, like you're growing into an adult. And I think that's why it's so tough for some parents to let go of their kids when they're going to college, especially the first one. because they come from controlled environments. They come from environments that parents can control what is seen, what is heard, what is felt, how the time is spent, how money is spent, all of that. To now, that 18-year-old is living life independently. No, there are some borders. There are some restrictions because if you're on campus, campus security, all that stuff. We all remember the campus security breaking into the frat parties, and anybody that's under 21 gets written up and all that. Okay, got it. But that's not life-changing. Life-changing is a kid getting into a car intoxicated at 18 years old, getting pulled over, or even worse, getting into a car accident or some kind of bad situation where you're changing your life forever. And I think, again, I'm not speaking as a parent, I'm speaking as just a generalist and saying, I was very lucky that my parents gave me and my sister opportunities to be independent before the age of 18. And I mean independent as in, you make your bed, you lay in it. My parents were told me, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. And they let me do what I wanted to do. Now, luckily, I was terrified. I was one of those weirdos that made a promise to myself that if I do this for this long, if I don't drink until I'm 21, if I don't ever smoke, if I never do drugs, all this stuff in my head, in the back of my head made sense. So I was never one to get into any of that stuff until I was 19, 20 years old. Just, and that was drinking. That wasn't any of the other stuff. A cigar here and there, after I think first time I was 25 with a cigar. That was it. But the reality is there's people out there that take that 18-year-old opportunity and they just run with it because they've been so pent up for so long that they're going to do everything that they've missed out on that their friends have done. I wasn't one of the underage drinkers when I was in high school. I wasn't. It just wasn't something that I was excited about. I'll be honest. I'm not a big drinker now. I'm not again, if you see me with 6 Coors Lights, I'm probably out cold, probably sleeping. I'm not that guy. Self-awareness, right? And I'm not saying that anybody has to be. The point here is especially with kids going to college this time of year, parents are throwing down the hammer on, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. These are conversations that probably should have been had with your student athlete over the last 4 years. Because we talk about it all the time. Everything funnels down. You see streaming and broadcasting in high school sports. Well, in 2 years, it'll be streaming and broadcasting in middle school, in elementary school. It'll be that. You see all this stuff, graphics, all the stuff. Everything you see at a professional level, there's somebody out there that wants it for their 5-year-old kid. There's no doubt about it. We want a Jumbotron for our gym in an elementary school because that's what LeBron James has. That's what Carmelo Anthony, that's what Chris Paul, all these. We need, lights that flicker every time we hit a home run because that's what they have at PNC Park. That's what they have. We're taking all these amenities at the professional level that cost millions of dollars in entertainment fees, and we're trying to bring it down. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with giving an experience. But on the flip side of that, you look at all the things that we're seeing, these kids are seeing on ESPN. ESPN used to be, and I'm not going to be that old guy that says, back in my day, ESPN, when we were walking home from school in 6 inches of snow, uphill boat. I'm not going to be that guy, but it's hard not to be when ESPN was always sports. MTV was always music. And now you turn on MTV, you turn on ESPN, and it's just drama. It's just drama. This person did this, and this, I can flip over to CNN or CNBC or where I can do that for the news, and I understand it. But how many hours a day do we need to hear about Deshaun Watson on ESPN? Like it's a 24-hour news cycle. I get it. I understand it. And literally I'm talking about it right now, so I guess I'm in with all those dummies. But the reality for me is that there's a safe haven. Like, kids need a safe haven. Parents, adults need a safe haven, because everywhere you look is bad news. Somebody's doing something wrong. Can we talk about people doing stuff right? Can we I mean, the Little League stuff. Here's where this thing takes a turn. I wanted to talk about this yesterday. The Little League World Series, you saw two young men, two teams going at it, two young men out of all of that. Young man got hit in the helmet. And I think by now it's been viral enough that everybody's seen this. Young man gets hit in the helmet, stays down for a minute. If you've ever hit somebody with a pitch, and that other person, the person that you've hit, stays down for any length of time, the human in you, especially at the age of 12 years old, feels awful. That's not your intention. It rattles you. It shakes you. What we saw out of that was a young man get up, walk down to first base, recognized immediately that the pitcher was crying on the mound, goes out to him and embraces him, hugs him, and tells him he's going to be okay. It does not get more sportsmanlike than that. It doesn't get more human than that. This is why the Little League World Series, to me, is the best of sports each and every year. I wish they did more 12U things, volleyball, basketball, like all of that. You want to see sports at its finest and not pimping home runs and flipping bats and, you know, all this stuff, spiking the football after touchdowns. That's an entertainment value. That's all built in because it's Hollywood. It's what we think we want to see. What I want to see as a sports fan is exactly what I saw in the Little League World Series. When that young man proved that he was human, he was okay, he went over and he embraced the pitcher from another region who he didn't know, maybe had conversations with before, and I'm sure after the game, and said, I'm going to be okay. It's all right. No hard feelings. You didn't mean to. Because if he meant to, he wouldn't be crying. He'd be proud of himself. But that's not Little League baseball. That's not the way the game's supposed to be played. But I'll tell you this. One of my heroes, one of my guys that I look up to, came out and said, now whether he means this or not, I don't know. Dave Portnoy of Barstool comes out and says, basically, he's soft. Pitchers own that plate. I get it. As a wrestling fan, I understand that there's shticks. There's, you know, you have your villain to play, and Dave Portnoy loves playing the villain. I think that the guy Dave Portnoy is, I respect him so much for what he's done in business, for what he's done in sports, for what he's done as a leader. But this is where we don't see eye to eye, and we don't have to. Like, I'm not asking for Dave to have an apology. His opinion's his opinion, but to call that kid soft for crying on the mound after you hit another human being, I hope it's a shtick, man. I hope this is a dramatization to drive clicks or to do something like that, because at the end of the day, it's BS. To call out a 12-year-old, we pride ourselves, and listen, I'm no better than anybody else, right? I've got my times where I go, oh boy. But, and I'm sure other people do too, but the reality is I think Dave needs to go back and remember what it's like at that age, because Dave played baseball at a very high level nonetheless. And he wasn't this shrewd, stuck-up guy. I'd like to think that Dave Portnoy would be in the same position, where if he hit somebody or was the one being hit, that he would have done the exact same thing. I don't like when adults especially stand up and say, you shouldn't do that. You're soft. You're a sissy. You whatever. There's a lot of verbiage that can come. There's a lot of vernacular that can come out when you're talking about that. And, you know, there's a lot of people that wanted us to end up being the barstool of high school sports. And there's a difference there. There's a huge difference. And the main one is you're dealing with kids. You're not dealing with people that are being paid. And college, yeah, they are. Even before the NIL, they were getting paid in scholarships. They were getting paid by boosters. Don't tell me you didn't know that. You know better than that. SMU just came out and said they're paying $36,000 a year to everybody on their basketball and football teams, which is going to be $3.5 million annually. They're not like college players are getting paid now. It's different if someone in college brushes back a guy or hits him in the head unintentionally and doesn't want to hug. It's different. And I think it hits different. But when you're 12 years old, there's an element of still being a child, still being innocent, still being one of those people that you didn't mean to. And it's okay to go over and show sportsmanship in the middle of a game. In fact, it's encouraged. Because we've seen it where players never want to pitch again. They never want to hit again. I've seen kids, hell, I've been part of those conversations in my earlier days where I'm saying, go up there, you don't have a hit all season, go up and get hit. And 37-year-old DJ is sitting there like, what are you doing? To the DJ Yoakley of coaching 12U baseball. Because I didn't have the feel that I do now. I didn't have kids. It was just the game. It was the strategy. I didn't have the element of putting a kid or a parent into that spot and how I would feel if I was sitting in their shoes. I'm telling you, the age will change you. It might soften you. It might harden you. But the age changes. That's why the 12U is so important. Little League Baseball. It's why it's my favorite thing to announce. Because the emotion is real. The feelings are real. The interviews are real. These kids are scared to death to do an interview because it's new and it's exciting. Some of them knock it out of the park, and some of them, you might as well call me DJ Yoakley DDS because it's like pulling teeth. But it's all great because it's experience. That young man yesterday, or however long it was, a couple days ago, now has experience and knows that if he didn't do it intentionally, and he didn't, that he shouldn't have to bear the burden of criticism by a multi-millionaire who just wants to get clicks and headlines. Kids today, student athletes, athletes in general, are smarter than they've ever been because they're forced to crack the books. Because you have to be, because it's more than just physicality in the game nowadays. It's strategy. You've got to be able to play the game. You have to be a student of the game, a cerebral assassin to be elite. Emotions have to go out the window, but not until after you're 12 years old. Once you hit your teens, then you can work on and keeping your emotions in check. Mark Roth chiming in. says, it was so refreshing to see a competitor take the high road and not automatically pop up and look for a confrontation. That young man was raised right. These acts confirm that humanity is still alive in youth sports. I agree with you. 100% I agree with you. And I think part of the thing is, Mark, is we're not taught, we see at a very young age when we're watching Major League Baseball. And those are our heroes, right? Our heroes are the people that we are attracted to, things that we want to do, people that we are like-minded with, before we can admit that our parents, our family, our brothers, our sisters, whoever it may be, are our heroes. My hero was Barry Bonds. My hero was Mike Tomczak. Literally, Mike Tomczak. The same Mike Tomczak that's at YSU. That's my guy. Little DJ Yoakley at 7 years old wanted to be Mike Tomczak. That was my number one hero. And then it turned into every quarterback for the Steelers thereafter. But we start doing what we see them do. At that age, we are impressionable. We are, young. These kids now, same way, and they have more choices to see. You can go watch games from all over the globe now. The loyalty to our region isn't necessarily any longer. The reality is, the loyalty is to people that we share commonalities with. Short quarterbacks are going to be drawn to Russell Wilson. That's who they want to be. Take Parker Sherry from East Palestine, now, at West Lib. His guy was Russell Wilson. I want to be like Russell Wilson. I want to be like, bigger quarterbacks. They want to be Big Ben. They want to be, Josh Allen. They want to be, and it goes from cultural to just how you are, who you are. You might run into somebody at a county fair and they're there and they're signing autographs. You don't know who the heck they are, and now they're your favorite player. And they might pitch 1 inning a week. But because they gave you 10 seconds to say, how are you doing, and signing the ball for you, that's your new favorite player. And that's okay. But the reality is, there is a standard that person now lives up to. When you're in roles such as a CEO of a company, or you're the leader of I'm a manager or a player, a student athlete now. I mean, we've had more people reach to us and say, I love the fact that because my kid now feels like a star. And we've had kids that have filled out autographs for younger kids because they see him on YSN. That is awesome. That warms my heart beyond belief. I'm so proud of that. But I always tell these kids, when they tell us that, these student athletes, you now have a responsibility. Because somewhere in that kid's room that you signed that autograph for, they hold you in high regard. You have to make the right decisions, because that ball can be worth something to that person forever, or it can just be scrap, something somebody throws away the next day because you made a wrong move and you disappointed them. And I'm a big opinions don't matter guy, especially as I get older. But I'll tell you one thing. If you ever see the disappointment in a young person's face, that's not something you want to see twice. And knowing that it was because it was you is something that you certainly never want to see twice. We're going to take a break. We come back. The head baseball coach of the Youngstown State University Fighting Penguins, Danny Bertolini, joins us in just a few moments here on the YSN Power Hour. Do not go away. Back after this.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
You know, being able to have success on the football field and the basketball court and just every aspect of, my sports career is now documented. One of the greatest things about high school sports is to be able to talk about it for the rest of your life and to look back on the days with my buddies whenever we had some battles, whether it was with, our rival or just another game. And I could go back and look at it and, not only myself, but my family members, my teammates, and it's something that will last a lifetime. My name is Parker Sherry, and my sports network is your sports network.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. And now I roll out the literal red carpet for one of my favorite guys in all of the world. Let's bring him in. Coach Bertolini. We call him Danny. And correct me if I'm wrong. I talked to somebody today that said, "Tell Squeaks I said hi." Is that
I don't know about that one.
Coach, how are you? It's good having you. It's good seeing your face. I feel like I haven't seen you forever outside of a couple rounds of golf.
I know. It's been a while. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Speaking of golf, you guys have a fun little shindig coming up here on Monday. I'm excited to be part of it. I know a lot of other guys and gals are as well. Can you tell us about the extravaganza that you're putting on Monday?
Yeah, this is something that we started. This is our third year for it. Leo Henry actually helped me kind of get this thing kick-started when they run One for the United Way, the golf outing, and they weren't able to have it. So we were able to pick it up in 2020, and it was a big success. And then we added Kenny Lofton last year at the Lake Club. And then this year we'll have Daryl Strawberry joining us for our golf outing, which is going to be amazing to have such a great player coming here to be able to come to Youngstown. And it's an all-around, it's probably one of the best golf outings experience-wise I'm sure you could attest for to be a part of, just all the different things that we have on the course, whether it's games. There's tons of food trucks out there. And obviously the Lake Club's a beautiful place, a beautiful venue to have it. Ed Moransky does an unbelievable job there. So looking forward to another great event. We have dinner the night before for anyone that's interested to come and hear Daryl Strawberry speak and sign some autographs and have some laughs. And Bruce Drennan will be there as well. So it's just a really good weekend to kind of kickstart the fall season for us.
Well, we're certainly going to be there and be there with bells on, man, because one of my favorite holes is I can just hand my driver to you and you just send it 350 on a dead line. If you've never seen Danny Bertolini play golf, I would imagine it's like your second passion right behind baseball and of course your family, but you can play golf, man.
I really enjoy it. I've really, over the last couple of years, grown to like it even more. And I'm actually playing in the Greatest Golfer. So I'll be there tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. tee off at Mill Creek. So it'll be that's an awesome event that they run in Youngstown. Todd Franco and the crew run a great event for the Greatest Golfer. So looking forward to playing some some quality golf.
Well, it's not like you're competitive or anything, if I know
No,
a thing or two
not at
about
all.
you. So, like, you're going for gold here. You're going to win the damn thing. It's not like something that you're just gonna like passively just play and try to get some exercise. Like, you're going after it. What made you make the jump?
I just something about just competitive golf, like just tournament style with the pressure and being able to play at a high level is I think it's just natural. I just like to compete. So I did it 2 years ago. It was the first time I knew about it really, and it was so much fun. So practice all year, get ready for the greatest 3 good days,
Ryan
hopefully 3 good days of golf.
Ryan says you're not that good. I disagree.
Yeah, you never know.
Disagree wholeheartedly. Daryl Strawberry going to be the featured guest here on Monday. I'm really excited for this. My family is originally from upstate New York, so half of them were Mets fans, half of them were Yankee fans. I remember getting a Daryl Strawberry starting lineup figure when I was very, very young and getting into baseball. So it's going to be very cool. But more than that, I've been watching The Captain. I'm a huge Derek Jeter guy through and through, and Daryl's been all over that thing. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure he's going to field some questions about, guys like Jeter and that World Series. But I feel like every time we've seen a fight on that series, Daryl's been in the middle of it, like daggone in the middle of it. Are we going to make sure that we have him covered on the golf course so he doesn't start throwing haymakers at just random people like myself?
Hey, he's a loyal guy, like he's got his teammates back. He's not afraid to drop the gloves and get after it.
Love it.
But I just think what's really special about him is not only was he, I think he's an 8-time All-Star, 4-time World Series champ, Rookie of the Year, had an illustrious career. Also, had just like a lot of people, he had his ups and downs. He kind of hit rock bottom at times and was able to get through that. And now, to see what he's been able to do with his life, and he gave his life to Christ, and he's a pastor now with a really successful church. And so, just to hear, kind of how, his life stories on kind of where he was and now where he is, and not only, baseball, but life. I think he's been part of some pretty special teams, with some great players. The 86 Mets, I feel like, are everyone's favorite team. I feel like everybody I talked to, it was like their idol growing up was Daryl Strawberry, just because he was part of that group of great players, him and Doc Gooden kind of coming up through that time. And they had some characters, Lenny Dykstra and Keith Hernandez and all those guys on the Miracle Mets. And now and then to be part of the dynasty, basically starting of the New York Yankees, kind of come full circle and be on the opposite side of that, the crazy Mets, and then the kind of the regimented New York Yankees. So it's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to it. I've talked with him a few times. He's just a really, really down to earth, really good guy. So I'm sure he'll fit right in here in Youngstown, and I know he'll do a great job for us. And he's a good golfer.
Oh, is he? Okay. Is he better than Kenny? Because Kenny was unreal.
Kenny was a really good golfer. Really good. And I'll tell you what, he could talk some trash too. He was a good trash talker.
Well, when you hang out with Albert Bell, I guess you got to learn a thing or two.
I was on his team and he was trash talking me. So,
you're a fun person to trash talk because you bring it right back.
Yeah, I mean he I think he knew he felt comfortable and started razzing towards the end of his time here. But he had a great time, and the staff at the Lake Club, Ed, they treat our guests so well. So usually outfit them with some nice Lake Club stuff and get them some YSU stuff. And a lot of our speakers end up being Penguins for life. They have such a good time here in Youngstown. They want to be part of what we're doing and part of the Mahoning Valley. So hopefully Daryl Strawberry, we can make him be a Penguin for life.
Well, you're building quite the roster then, man. I'm proud of you. And I'm proud of you across the board. I mean, again, not the season you probably wanted, from a standpoint of wins and losses, but you still were able to get some of the big haymakers in there. You hung in there with the best, and you still had a decent season amongst everything. Talk to me about where you go from here. Where does YSU baseball go from here? I know I saw the commitments over the past week or so. You brought in Trey Pancake, which is huge to bolster your catching and some of the other stuff and leadership. A local guy from South Range. Talk to me about where you see the big jump coming from in 22 to 23?
Yeah, I mean, life has changed a lot. The transfer portal has changed a lot of things, good and bad. I thought last year, other than some, we had some injuries, which really, when you lose Turner, Graw, who was, a preseason, first team all conference player, and Don Bucko, who was an all conference, first team all conference, all region player the year before. When you lose those two guys for most of the season, put a lot of pressure on some of our other players. And so I think we struggled at times offensively. But towards the end of the year when we got healthy, I thought we played our best baseball and played really well in the conference tournament, which I thought was really, a bright spot for us. And to have, regardless of what we kind of thought before the season, to win back-to-back seasons, 20 wins, 20 plus wins, was the first time since 2005. So that was a good milestone for us. And to get a player drafted, Matt Broski being drafted in the 8th round was kind of the cherry on top of that season. Him being Horizon League Pitcher of the Year for our second straight year. We've had the Horizon League Pitcher of the Year. So we've done some really good things. I think in 23, I think this should be probably, hopefully, I think our most talented, team from top to bottom as far as depth wise. We're returning, a lot of really good guys that in our lineup: Braden O'Shaughnessy, Pat O'Shaughnessy, Steve DeSanio. We're going to lose some big pieces. We lose Bucko, and you lose Lucas Nasani, who was, all-time games played. 5-year starter for us. Hard to replace that. But, Turner Graw will kind of take over and move over into center field and be our everyday center fielder now that he's healthy off shoulder surgery. So that should help. Lost some big pieces on the mound. When you lose all three of your weekend starters and Matt Broski and Chad Coles and John Snyder, there's some big shoes to fill. So we got some really talented young guys coming in that are going to push. Get a couple transfers in here. Trey Pancake's a guy that is going to add some depth, behind the plate, as well as, wants to pitch as well. So had a great arm in high school, and pitching's been something that he's pretty passionate about. So wants to have an opportunity to do that. And I think anytime you can add, two positions with one player helps a lot. I think we have a really, really strong incoming class. So, we had to get better defensively in the infield. I think some of our guys really had good summers. Trey Law had a great summer. Chase Franken had a great summer. I think he was at one point was leading the league in hits and stolen bases, had close to 40 stolen bases. Trey played, every day for a team that lost in the championship in the Appalachian League. I thought Nick Perez had a fantastic summer, really kind of finished the season strong, threw really well in the conference tournament for us, and then turned around and just kind of piggybacked the last part of his season into the summer. So there's a lot of real positives coming forward. Braden played really well this summer. So, we're going to return a lot of experience, but we're also going to have some youth, good mix. And I can't wait to get these guys to campus here in a couple weeks and get started. I'm kind of itching to get this campaign going and looking forward to kind of seeing how guys did, kind of what they did during the summer, and hopefully we can roll that through into the fall.
We're here with YSU baseball head coach Dan Bertolini, joins us. Of course, the big golf outing coming up on Monday. Are there still opportunities to get involved, or are we filled up?
We're pretty full as far as the golf is concerned. We have some openings still if anyone's interested in coming to dinner. It's $200 and get you dinner at the Lake Club. I think it's a 5-course meal plus an opportunity to hear Daryl and Bruce Drennan speak, get a chance to hear about our program, as well as get autographs and stuff like that. It's really a very fantastic night. Kind of similar to our baseball breakfast. We're kind of making it. It's not quite that, but it's similar to what we do there. And I think we have a lot of success with our breakfast, and for us to be able to have these these are two of our largest fundraisers for our program. I think the support from the community, it's grown. This thing's grown similar to the breakfast. It's grown every year. More and more teams are interested. We've had a lot of financial support through this, through our golf outing, which has been great. And we're able to do some really special things for our guys with the money that we raise.
So one last question I have for you, because we talk about the transfer portal all the time, and obviously because we do a lot with high school athletics, parents and student athletes are constantly wondering, How much do you dip into or look at the transfer portal, or how has your job changed, I guess, since the transfer portal has opened in recruiting? Has it changed? Now, it typically was, 99% from a standpoint of you're recruiting out of high school and maybe get some transfers in, to now, what do you look at? I mean, do you have someone that's constantly scrolling through the transfer portal and waiting for that, or how does that work for you?
Well, I think it's definitely interesting. Like at first you were we're all kind of taken back by it. It's a definitely different world, different process. But I think you got to adapt or die. Like you either have to learn how to adapt and adjust, or you got to get out of it because it's not going anywhere. This is the world that we're living in. Fair, unfair, whatever, however way you look at it, it doesn't really matter what you think, because it's not going anywhere. So I think you have to look at it. There's opportunities for good players that. I think it's a good thing that if you do make a decision that, a lot of guys make decisions that when they're 15 years old on where they want to go to school, and it makes it difficult. People change, things change, coaches change. But I think the best thing that it's done is it's slowed recruiting down like a lot, and allowed the high school guys. It might take longer for them to get recruited, but I think it allows them to make better decisions on where they want to spend the rest of their time, because they're not in a rush to make it. Because I think a lot of schools are slowing down their recruiting and waiting to see things that happen in the portal and what they need. And so, right now there's a lot of good 2023 baseball players out there that would have been committed probably when they were 16 years old if it wasn't for this. And now, they're not, and maybe they make better decisions and don't need to transfer as much because they put themselves in a better situation for it. So, I think we're still in the infancy stage of this. I think it will all work itself out as we get more adjusted to it and figure out, really what's the best case scenario for every person. I think there's some red flags when you see guys transferring multiple times, whether it's a school, junior college, another school. There's some of that, but I think for the most part, we're all trying to do what's best for the student athletes and for our programs. And you want people that want to be part of what you're doing, and if they don't, then I think it is always best for them to have an opportunity to go somewhere where they do see a different vision. So at first I think I was upset, I think, when guys would leave, and now I think it's just part of the process, and you just adapt and just want guys that want to be here.
Well, listen, I'm just so happy I can be with you on Monday. I'm excited to hang out with my buddy once again. I know you got on Richie all year. Where's DJ? Where's DJ? Doesn't show up, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, Danny. Come on.
Well, I remember before you were big time, you used to come on trips with us and stuff. But now
that was when we had 20 teams and then YSU. And now we're sitting at 60. So don't worry.
A great job.
We're still friends. We're still the two best friends that anyone can have. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, man.
Blazer bombs in my life.
Blazer. Listen, I got to do a Scrappers game, and Whaler hit a home run for me, so I got a Whaler bomb in there.
Oh wow!
So I was excited, and yeah, so it was good time. You have to be incredibly. He disappeared. He's gone. There he is. You have to be incredibly proud to see how many of these guys are getting in the MLB draft league too. I mean, whether they were YSU, I feel like it's Penguin forever, whether they end up at YSU throughout their time. But, seeing all these Penguins on the roster, and Bucco's been lighting up the skies for the Scrappers as of late. There's a sense of pride, almost like a fatherly pride to you when you see these guys, especially, I mean, you talk about Matt getting drafted. What is that like from a coach's or a manager's standpoint?
Yeah, I was there. It was really cool, unique opportunity to be at his house when he got drafted, and it was pretty special to see, just how that process went for him and how excited he was. And, that's something that you dream about being a kid, getting to hear your name called, and especially as early as it was, when they're still doing the TV and talking about things on day two. And so that was pretty cool to do that. But yeah, I mean, we follow our guys forever. I mean, these are guys that have done some amazing things for our program. Some of the best players that have come through here. We've had really good players, great players that have played here, and to, Jeff and Dom and Chad Coles, and those guys are some of the best players that have played here at YSU. They can put their names up there, and for them to be able to continue their baseball careers and play professionally, I think is really special. And hopefully, they continue to do good things and maybe, get to play at an affiliate level, with the free agent contract as well. So these guys are, I think what that league is providing a great opportunity for these non-drafted players to really showcase their skills and how good they are. And, with 20 rounds in the draft, it makes it really difficult to get drafted. I think if you really took anything away from it, like playing Division I baseball is the best opportunity for you to be able to be drafted. I think there's 536 guys or something like that were drafted from Division I, and there wasn't any other level comparable to Division I baseball. So for these guys to be able to play professionally and then hopefully get a chance to play at the for a major league organization, I think is huge for them. So happy for them. I mean, Buck, I wish he was healthy all year because he's a really special player, and we missed him being healthy. But when he's good, he's as good as I've seen it. So I'm glad he's doing some good things for the Scrappers.
So did you cry when Brusky got drafted? Because you strike me as a crier.
No, I didn't cry.
I figured you would cry and hug him. And
they didn't draft me. I gave him a big hug and just told him how proud I was of him because, it was a big thing. And he has had his ups and downs. And, you look back at, a year ago, he was pitching to a 10 ERA, and for him to make that real commitment to becoming the best, pitcher he could be. And just to see his development over the last year was really something special for him and his family. I know how much it meant to them. And they're huge supporters. When he pitched, it was like they brought the whole, all of Strongsville was there to support him. So the whole Broski clan was at every start. So pretty happy for him. And it was funny because the Rangers, I was talking to a guy that's a associate scout for the Rangers before he pitched in the conference tournament. And I remember I asked him, I said, hey, what do you think of Matt, our starter? And he's like, I've seen him a little bit. I'm not sure. I said, well, I think you should probably lock in on him because he's pretty good. And luckily, and then their regional scout was there as well. And he threw about as good of a baseball game as I've ever seen in my entire, however long I've been part of doing this. I've been doing this for 15 years and playing for another 20 years. And so, just seeing how well he pitched and in that moment, they were like, yep, he's our guy, and I had a good feeling that they were going to draft him. There's a couple organizations that were showing a lot of interest but I had a feeling the Rangers were going to be the ones to pull the trigger, and lo and behold, it happened. So
they did. Did he get a cowboy hat immediately to fit in with everybody?
He threw his Texas Rangers hat on as soon as he got it.
There we go. I love it. We are proud of him. We are proud of all your boys, and we are proud of you, my friend, because you're making dreams come true, and you're living out your dream as a manager in college baseball, man. So can't wait again, like I said, to hang out with you on Monday, swing the sticks a little bit.
Bring your A game.
Dude, I'm still like,
that's the only kind of game you got. Just tell me. That's all I got.
I got Z game. Like there's no A game for me in golf. I'm Kramer kicking my sticks every time I come home. I suck, Jerry. I suck. But thanks for spending some time and kicking it with us for a little bit, Danny. I appreciate it. And we'll see you soon, my friend.
Sounds good. See you Monday. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Take care. There he goes. Danny Bertolini, one of the best, one of my favorites, one of my guys. From day one, he's respected what we do at YSN, and one of the big reasons that we got into. He and Steve Leslie had a conversation, and it went from there, and all of a sudden we are the official home of Youngstown State University baseball. So cannot wait to support them in any way we possibly can. Danny Bertolini and his whole staff, again, one of very close to the program here, very close to the network, and we'll do anything we can for them, from that standpoint. So thanks for him for stopping by and talking about the upcoming golf outing. There's, like you said, there's still opportunities to get involved. If you want to meet Daryl Strawberry, have a great dinner, $200. And you might look at that and say, hey, that's a lot of money for a dinner. But to be able to spend time with Bruce Drennan, who is a legendary broadcaster in the state of Ohio, as well as Darryl Strawberry, an 8-time All-Star, 4-time world champion. One of my favorites. I'm going to figure out how I can slip in there and carve out some time on Sunday and hang out with Darryl Strawberry, get a few pictures and get some autographs because I mean, listen, he's a legend. I'm just a kid from East Palestine, but my family's from upstate New York, and Darryl Strawberry to me was another one of my heroes growing up. So anytime I can be close to a hero of mine from yesteryear, I'm going to do it. We have a couple come. I apologize, Ty. I didn't see it till later. My apologies. He asked, do you feel there's a closer connection between the city and the team due to all the local talent? I'll make sure Danny answers that on Monday. And then Radar chiming in again. Russell Pavlov says, this is Radar 1 week from tonight. High school football 2022 begins. DJ, I understand that you have the Springfield local at South Range next Thursday night at McDonald and the McDonald and Southern local next Friday night. Whose teams do you think will make a deep run to maybe an OHSA state football champions? Well, I mean, you're going to have to wait for that, Radar. But I will tell you, you don't have to look too far from one of those games that you that you just announced to see two of the teams that I have the last team standing in our coverage area. So take it for what it's worth. You've got a 50-50 chance. We have to get to our final part of the show, and of course, that is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Anything commercial, anything residential, anything electrical that goes bzzz, you need to go over to our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Make sure you let the professionals handle it. Please don't be like the handyman who thinks he can do anything. When it comes to electricity, folks, you don't want to mess around. Let the pros over at Joe Dickey Electric handle it. Head over to Joe Dickey Electric in almost at South Range in North Lima. Man, I almost slipped on that one. Or go to DickeyElectric.com on the web and let the pros handle it. They are the pros. They are good at what they do. Not just good, they are great at what they do. And make sure you tell them YSN sent you and you love the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Here we go. All right, so my spark today, not far off of what we were talking about, sportsmanship, man. It's something that should be taught before anything, before you're swinging a bat, before you're draining threes, before you're kicking goals, before you're scoring goals in hockey, before you learn a slap shot, before you learn a touchdown dance, before you learn a route, you should learn sportsmanship. And, one of the greatest pieces of sportsmanship we saw was just this past week in the Little League World Series. And I think more people need to kind of wrap their brains around that. And, again, to kind of close my thought on that and wrap it into a spark is kids are going to watch good, bad, and indifferently, professional sports, college sports, whatever. Let them know what is right and wrong. Let them know what is acceptable and what is not. Because if you don't, they're going to be up to their own devices. And peers are not always the greatest at saying what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. Peers will say it's the right thing to do because it makes them laugh or giggle or they get something out of it, an entertainment value, if you will. Whereas a parent, you want to let them know immediately that that is not acceptable or that is very acceptable, whether it's good or bad. And you don't understand the influence that you have. Uncles, aunts, immediate family, you don't understand the immediate influence you have by the way that you react to someone doing something right or wrong, especially at the ripe old age of 12 or below. So be aware that if a kid gets hit and you start laughing, that they're going to see that as an okay thing to do. And that's not a big deal. And there shouldn't be any attention drawn to that situation, as opposed to the first thing that should happen is checking on that person, right? Making sure they're okay. Now, if they're okay and it was a goof, then, you can laugh it off, but safety is the number one priority. And again, the Dave Portnoy thing, for him to criticize a 12-year-old and say he's soft because, he's crying because he went inside and hit a guy. I'm just glad there's a lot more people that stepped up and said that this is a great opportunity for learning, as opposed to a great opportunity for cutting somebody down at 12 years old. That's going to do it for our show. I hope you had a good time. We will have a show tomorrow. I've been waiting for this one all week. Dan Yeagley is going to join us. The head coach of the South Range Raiders. Will have him on to close out our week, and maybe a couple other special guests as well. Richie will be here. Special thanks to Danny Bertolini for stopping by today. Special thanks to Richie Giuliano for setting that up. That was big. And Danny hung around for almost a half hour. So thank you to him. Good best of luck to him and everybody. In the greatest golfer, don't try to poke the bear. Don't make fun of or try to scrap with Danny Bertolini, because he is a wildcat when it comes down to his golf and being competitive. We will see you all tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on your sports network. We'll see you later. YSN